I don't think anybody can argue that PixInsight is pretty much the gold standard when it comes to processing our astrophotography photos. And there's no wonder they've got a lot of development and a lot of revenue coming in. I mean, a total version of PixInsight with all the exterminators and everything else can be close to, if not over, $500. I made a video a couple weeks ago about the cost of the hobby and how it is off-putting to some people, and I'm sure this is a very, very big obstacle along with the learning curve. So it's up to us to actually demonstrate all of the other options that are out there. And I've kind of let people down on that, and that's why we're doing this video today on GRAXPERT, Siril, and Affinity Photo. A totally free workflow. You can buy Affinity Photo for $35 right now, actually, and it's a one-time fee. It's not a monthly thing. It literally will do everything that you need to do, like Photoshop. You don't have to worry. I'm going to show you stuff. Sky Story, who is just one of my favorite guys I love watching right now. He is getting ready to do a big, in-depth, long series on how to properly use Affinity Photo. But you can see from my video here, when we get to the end of the processing, that it's really not difficult. And if you're familiar with Photoshop, maybe you're going to want to cancel that and jump on this train. And then the big reason why we need to just support Siril more as a community is it's open source. Like, we could actually be making this better. Now, I'm not a coder. I don't know how to write code and stuff like that. But when I sit and think of how great PixInsight is, it's really only good because of the work that people are putting into it, like SETI Astro and RC Astro. Now, it would be great to have people like that to put stuff into Siril. I've seen Siril development has been a little slower since they did their big release maybe about a year ago, where they integrated StarNet, generalized hyperbolic stretching, all kinds of other stuff. But there's still three things that are missing from Siril that are making it a difficult processing software overall. And that would be masking, curves transformation, and something like a real-time preview that we can see stuff that's going on. Their video system and the way that it all works with my computer is pretty snappy, but it's kind of nice to have real-time previews to do all this stuff instead of having to like undo or save and resave files. Now, a lot of my inspiration for this, of course, is fallen from Rich at Deep Space Astro. I'm now a member of his channel. Don't know why I haven't been before, but I am now, Rich. So I encourage all you guys to stop by his channel. Definitely his lane. I am definitely not going to intrude into it as well, but I think the more of us that are putting this out there, the better off that all of us will be. We had a nice little discussion about open source development on my live stream between like 7 or 8 of us. So it actually motivated me even more because I understand how open source stuff has helped evolve other things in my life, like my RC hobby. We've actually gotten better products at rock bottom prices, and that doesn't seem to be happening in astronomy. I don't think we're ever going to be able to control and bring down the prices of telescopes and cameras based on open source software that we've done. But I think Nina has kind of showed that you don't really need an ASIair to like run a telescope system, right? You just need our free program and a computer and you're good. I want to thank all of my channel members that are on the channel now. I can't believe how fast it's growing. And if you feel that I have done enough to earn your support today, there's a paypal.me link below, or you can join the channel as a member as well for as little as $2 a month. So let's get going. Please leave me some comments and feedback on what you would like to see in the future, and hopefully we can get those comments out to developers. What do you want to see added into Siril? Do you want to use anything else? Do you want to see Siril ultimately overtake the PixInsight Masters? All those links, as well as a link to the Google Drive for the data that we are going to be using, is all below in the description, as well as chapter markers so you can come back and easily review the parts of this or skip ahead to the stuff that you want to see. All right, so let's get this going. We are going to start in GRAXPERT, and we've got the image loaded in here just by hitting the little plus sign. And the first thing that we're going to do in GRAXPERT is we're just going to make a little bit of a crop. Now, this came out of the weighted batch pre-processing in PixInsight. You can stack however you want. It had an auto crop applied to it, but it's just always nice to do another crop for some reason. We're gonna do our background extraction now using the AI that has been upgraded and is relatively new to this version of GRAXPERT. And we can take a look at the actual background model. You can see there's not much of a gradient that was in here. We had great skies that night. And now we're going to go ahead and denoise this image. And GRAXPERT denoise is complete, and it doesn't look good right now, but believe me, when we open this up in Siril and take away the stars, you're going to be very happy with the results that we're getting out of GRAXPERT right now. You know, some people are not very happy with some of the things that have been happening, maybe taking away details, this and that with their automatic background extraction process that they have. But hey, it delivers results and it is free. So once we are done with that, what we're going to do is we are going to open up Siril and we are going to get started on processing this image. This is, again, the latest version of Siril. We've got all of the goodies installed on here. So let's go ahead and load our image and get going. Just in case you've never seen Siril before, show you a couple quick things. Over here is where you do all of your stuff, like open your images. First thing you want to do in Siril is set your home directory on where all of your files that you save are going to go. So that's pretty simple and easy to do. While we're in here, we'll go ahead and open our image, which is called After Grax. So we'll go ahead and let's click on open, and we will open that right now. That's going to load that into Siril. Right next to this, all your undo and redo type of buttons, your image processing commands are all right here. Here are scripts, which there are some very interesting scripts that are built into Siril. Some of them would be very, very cool if we could get some updates. I actually tried updating this Hubble one by taking out some of the lines of the script, but it would not let me save it. Said that I wasn't a client or wasn't allowed or something. But if we want to take a quick look at this, just because it's pretty cool, this is a script that Rich wrote. Literally, it's a one click to a finished Hubble palette type of image that you could either post, whatever, take it into Photoshop, take it into Affinity Photo, whatever you want to do. So we go ahead and just click it and run the script. It's just going to run all of the commands over here. And I mean, does it get any easier than that? That is pretty crazy. So that did a pretty great job, honestly, if you ask me. So what we'll do is just go ahead and look here, and you can see it created a bunch of different files. We'll clean that up here in a second and get going. Over here is just kind of where you save all of your images. Right here is where you click. You can save, change your file names, all that kind of stuff. And right here is some of your other stuff, like updating Siril, your preferences, and this is where we're going to find things like statistics. And also we're going to set up our dynamic PSF. So that there just shows you the power of open source. And man, if we could just get some of that going, it would be great. So we're going to click on the open after Grax here, and we're kind of do some steps here that we would do in any other processing, just to show you that you're really not losing a whole lot. We're going to head and go first and remove the green noise. Just click apply. All this stuff in Siril runs really fast. What you can do is you can actually go over here and turn on the command console to show you when things are done. They don't close automatically, so you have to kind of close them up yourself. Now we want to go ahead and do some deconvolution. So in order to do this, we are going to need to set our PSF. And what that means is that we're going to have to analyze all these stars here and kind of figure out what is going on. So we're going to click dynamic PSF, and it got a couple functions here. Going to follow kind of some of Rich's instructions. We've got a lot of good stars here to choose from, but we don't need to do a lot of them. Go ahead and run through these numbers. I'm basically just narrowing the brightness range of the stars, so that way it's not going to pick a bunch of them. Still going to end up with like 400 or 500, but it is what it is. You can also go ahead and change some of these other things if you start having some problems, but this works really well. Click on the little stars button here, and it's going to run a little bit of a deal, and you can see it selected 445 stars. So you want to leave this open right here, go over to image processing, go down to deconvolution, and then we're going to collect PSF from stars, and I'm going to change my PSF size to 11. I've already done this and kind of figured it out a little bit. So what you want to do is you want to make this big enough that it's not outside or touching this box, but you still want to make it, I think, a decent enough size where you can kind of see what's going on. It's not really explained really what it does, if it matters if it's smaller or bigger, but it is what it is. So down here in the actual deconvolution settings, with this data, I found that you really don't need a whole lot. So I'm going to change my iterations from 2 and gradient scent down to 0002. And I found this works out really good for the data. And what we're looking for is we're just looking for a little bit of deconvolution across the image. And we don't want to do is we don't want to get super aggressive with this and start getting like black rings around here, because that's going to just make things really difficult for our image. If you're playing around with other data and you find that you have that problem, it's real easy to do. You just go up here and click the undo button, and it'll step you back to like where you are right here. And then you can go through this entire process over again. Rich also recommended you can also go back out here and just kind of drag and drop and pick a space to work on if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I think that we're good. So we've got everything that we need now. We'll just go ahead and click apply, and this is going to run through. And if you watch the little arrow down here, you can see that it went through the deconvolution process. And if we just kind of step back and forth, you can see that we are getting a little bit, just a little bit of deconvolution on the image. And really that's all I'm looking for. So you want to close that. And then what you want to do to get rid of all these little red boxes is go back over here, delete all of that, and then close the tool. And then you're good to go. And then I like to just recenter my image by clicking this button down here. So you can rotate, do all that kind of fun stuff with your images right there as well. Now that that's all done, it's time to start doing some color calibration. Now, color calibration, they have the old school regular manual way, and they have photometric color calibration. This has been hit or miss for me on this image for some reason. We'll hopefully see if it works right now. You can see it's got all the coordinates and everything that's built into here. You can go ahead and set up a blind solver as well if your image isn't solved or doesn't have any metadata. Rich has got a video for that, which is really great as well. And I'm just going to click OK, and we'll watch the process console here and see what it'll do. So it's failing us again. So let's go ahead and try clicking the force plate solving to see if it can pick that up. Nope. I do not know why it likes to calibrate this sometimes and why sometimes it does not. It's kind of annoying, but just kind of the way that it is. No problem. What we can do is just get rid of that, and we can go and do a manual color calibration. So really easy to do here. What you want to do first is just kind of select a spot down here that is kind of dark. We know doesn't have a lot of stars in it, and we're going to use that as our black background reference. We can go ahead and click on background neutralization at the same time. And then what we're going to do is calibrate our white point, so we can select a bunch of white colored type of stuff right here. We could say use current selection and click apply. And now it is going to color calibrate our image. Obviously, it's not completely photometric accurate and all that kind of stuff, but we're using a dual band filter. We're playing here. This isn't scientific research, so it is what it is. So at this point, we've kind of done all the fun stuff that we can do, and the image is looking pretty good and ready to go. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and we're going to extract the stars here, and they use StarNet. So you click on star processing and then StarNet removal. And what it's going to do is we are going to get two different images that are in here, and we'll talk about what we're going to do with those here shortly. We're going to click on execute. This will take a few minutes. Okay, and that is all done. And if you look here in your home directory, you're going to see that there is a starless and a star mask. Those are the two images that were created for us. Not too bad for free software. So let's go ahead and get this stuff stretched. I'm going to get rid of this and put this back down to linear. Now this is where I'm going to deviate just because GHS, the general hyperbolic stretch, is built into Siril, but it just annoys me. I tend not to use it. It's not a big deal. Histogram transformation does very well for me. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger and stretch it out. And this is just regular histogram transformation stretching. So we'll go ahead and move it. And sometimes it's a little bit slow to show you your image because they're kind of using a built-in window instead of like a real-time preview that seems to run a little bit faster, but that's okay. So just kind of drag things over and give it a second to update. Obviously, the better your machine, the faster it's going to update. And I am just going to keep on bringing this over and then going to bring the black point back over a little bit and then just keep on stretching this. I found with this data that I kind of got to stretch it kind of aggressively if I want to really get some good color data out of it. And that's all right because, you know, we're not professionals here. We want good images, but go ahead and stretch the image to your taste. You can also zoom in here if you're really one of those people that likes to bring things right up to the edge so you can see, we can see what's going on there. Now, this is kind of a weird one right here because technically we would probably want to stretch to like right there, but I want to stretch it just a little bit more and maybe we'll back it off. We can always boost this with curves and everything in Affinity Photo. You know, if you're more comfortable with going down here where you first start to see your data raise as far as the histogram goes and everything, that's fine. And we can go ahead and just leave it there if you want to. So that's kind of our stretch right there. We can apply that. And again, I think it's a little too dim, so I'm going to give it just a little bit more of a boost. I like to have my histogram peak just at least past the 20% here. So I'm done with that now. Really happy how that looks. Let's go ahead and save it. So we are going to click Save As, and we can go ahead and just call it, you know, leave it starless after grax.fit. And what we're going to do is change this to a TIFF file because we are going to open this up in Affinity Photo. So we're just going to click Save, 16-bit, Save again. So let's go ahead and stretch our stars right now. Now, Siril has a way that you can actually do this. If you can go into image processing here and you can go into their star reprocessing that they have right here, recomposition, and you can actually pull up both images together and stretch and apply the stretches to the stars and the image and combine your image and do everything right here. So if you didn't want to go outside of Siril into Affinity Photo and do any more touch-ups, you can finish off your image right here. But I think you're going to lose a little bit of stuff, which is why I would definitely recommend doing this. So let's go ahead and open up that starless star mask image. So it's right here and it is opening up in linear. So let's go ahead and stretch that again. And let's go to the histogram transformation and we'll make this just a little bit bigger so we can kind of see what's going on. And we're going to get a good stretch on our stars. We don't have to worry about really overblowing them or doing anything super crazy because we are going to screen these and recomposite these in during our Infinity Photo process. Don't worry, it's super simple. I'm going to show you how to do it and you'll be very pleased with the results. So I think that is probably good enough right there. Maybe we could just make them a little bit brighter. Don't want a lot of the little ones kind of popping through. Obviously it'll be, less is more sometimes. So we'll just go ahead and leave it with that right there. Star color is a little wonky, but again, we can fix all that in Affinity Photo. So let's just go ahead and click on this up here and we're going to save this again as a TIFF. So we've got star mask after grax.tiff and we're going to click save. Now 16-bit unassigned integer And we are done with Siril. It's time to open these babies up in Affinity Photo. All right, we are in Affinity Photo, the savior to the people who do not want to get Photoshop, and made famous definitely recently by the Sky Story YouTube channel. Go ahead and click on File, Open. We are going to open the After Starless GRAXPERT image. Done. Now let's go in, open. We're going to open the star mask, which is our stars. We're going to drag that baby down here. What we need to do, make sure all of your snapping tools are turned on up here, so that way we can properly align this stuff. Grab the little thing right here, the little arrow, and not the hand, and you can move this baby around, and you're eventually going to get it to line up. I'm still having a little bit of difficulty with my snapping tool for some reason. Hopefully one of these days I will figure that out. So I found it a lot easier to just kind of zoom in, and what we're looking for is the green lines for the image for it to all snap into place. Right there, just like that. That took way longer than it should. So let's go ahead and center this baby back up. Now, right now, the stars is above everything. If we turn off the stars, we can see that we've got our image underneath there. What we want to do is highlight the stars and go ahead and click screen. And if you're happy with the way that this looks right now, then you can go on to the next step that we'll go over. Export your image and you're good. But I will tell you that we can do things to these stars to control the brightness and everything else that's going on with them and make them blend in perfectly. So let's just go ahead and turn them off real quick. Select our background here. I want to duplicate the background, and we just want to always do that and keep it locked, just so that way if we make a ton of mistakes, we can always come back to that. So we've got that background layer selected. We're going to enter their version of Camera Raw, which is called the Develop Persona. And we just click on that. This is how you save and exit the persona. And over here is all of our fun stuff. So we've got basic, details, tones, and we've got the history. So if we go into basic, immediately we can just start changing the exposure on the image. So we can brighten everything up a little bit. We can raise the black point. That looks good right there. We can add a little bit of contrast to it if we want to take it down even further. So we'll go ahead and do that. We can also see that the color space is a little bit different in here. So I'm starting to see, obviously, that our colors in the Nebula look a lot different and the background looks a little bit different. We can take care of that. We can zoom in and we can basically see if we want to add any kind of clarity or sharpness to this stuff. So I think what we can do is if we go all the way up, it's going to totally crunch everything out, but we can add a pretty decent amount here, and the image is not going to get like really super noisy on us or fall apart. I really like the way that this works. We're just going to leave it like around 20%. So that way, we're all pretty much on the same page. And then we can also open up our saturation and vibrance. We can add a little bit more saturation to it if we want to. We can just kick that up maybe to like 4 or 5%. And vibrance, which will work on our midtones. We can see that we can adjust that as well. I mean, you can't have enough saturation or enough of vibrance. So let's go ahead and zoom back out. And that's kind of what our image is looking like right now. You can see we've got some brighter, hotter spots. Maybe we need to bring some of that back down a little bit. We've got our white balance tab, and like I said, we saw that we've got like a little bit of a blue kind of cast to it. So what we can do is we can move this slider over here, and that's going to kind of, turn it a little bit more to the green. The other thing we can do is we'll make a global adjustment at the end, and that will allow us to take out a little bit of that blue. So you've got shadows and highlights down here as well that you can play around with. I don't want to make this really crazy and get lost in all of the fun. So right here, we've got details that we can work on. We've already kind of enhanced the details. We've got noise reduction. The noise reduction, you can zoom in here. And if you want to try to clean some of that up, you can. So you can see that it's going to totally blur everything out. And we want a fine line here of just doing a little bit of noise reduction and not losing all that detail that we gained back. So maybe we'll just put it like at 10%. And then you also have color noise reduction. I don't see, much color noise going on out in here. So I don't think that we need to do anything with that at all. And then we can go to our tones and we can, start working on curves if we want to. So if you didn't want to do anything with the crazy details and you want to try to get rid of a little bit of that blue bias, you can go ahead and select just the blue channel and we can just pull that back just a little bit. And you want to be real careful and slight movements because you're going to go to the green real quick. So just a tad, you can try dropping it down here, but again, it's just going to get to the green real fast. So we're just going to leave that little bit right there and that'll be good. So it took a little bit of that blue cast away, and we don't want to kill all of it because we've got star color behind there. So definitely keep that in mind. Now here is your black and white where you can start working on all the different tones, the split toning. Definitely not going to get into that in this video. And then here is your history. So this shows you everything that you did inside of the develop persona. So I think we're done in there. I'm good with that. We're going to click on develop and it's basically going to save all those changes and it's going to kick us back out to where our stars are. So we can rescreen our stars. There's our stars. That could be our finished image right there, but we're going to do extra credit and take things a little bit longer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the star mask layer right here. And what I want to do is turn this into a group. So I'm going to hit highlight the layer. I'm going to press Control and G. And what I want to do is double click on that. And we're going to rename this stars just so we know what's going on. Then we're going to come down to the background layer and we're going to do the same thing. Control G, we'll go ahead and click on that and we'll call this starless. And then what we can do is we can add individual adjustments to each layer. So if we go up to stars and we turn our stars back on, we want to make sure that everything is still in the screen mode. It kind of likes to change on you, not sure why. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to highlight the star mask right here, that layer. We're going to click on the little yin yang down here. And then what we'll do is we'll actually add a curves adjustment and we can close that out and we can always come back to it. So what the curves adjustment is going to do is it's going to allow us to play with those stars. So we could go ahead and pull down on the curve here and we can go ahead and blend those stars in as much as we want. You can see how real easy and gentle and pretty that looks. So we can get rid of them all together. We can push them up if we want to, whatever. I'm just going to pull them back a little bit and we'll call that good. If we zoom in and we look at our stars and if we don't like the colors that we're getting out of them, what we can do is we can add some actual more color to it. So let's click on that again. And we can do this a couple different ways. We can do it through curves. We can do it through levels, vibrance, whatever. So let's go ahead and just click on vibrance to kind of make it easy. So let's just start playing around with this. We'll zoom in a little bit more on our stars here and we can see what happens if we turn up the vibrance all the way. Not much. You can see what happens if we go down here. Not a whole lot working with this on vibrance. On saturation, oh yeah, we can really get some more saturation in there. So I'm going to just turn my saturation up to say 20% because I like my stars to be nice and saturated. And then maybe looking at the stars after zooming way in here, maybe they're still just a little bit too oblong for me. So I can go into the curves adjustment, and if we want to, we can just make them a little bit less noticeable. But again, you're going to kill all your brightness and you might be taking it away from your overall image, but it's simple and easy to do. And let's go ahead and zoom back out. And I think the image still looks really good to me. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, if we want to, we can go ahead and say that's good. That's all we want to do to our stars. Let's go ahead and just minimize that group. Let's open up the starless group. We can do the exact same thing in here. We've already went through the develop persona, but if you want to, you can do some of that stuff in here as well. So we can go ahead and we can add in another curves adjustment into here. And if you want to adjust that outside of here, and if you want to maybe blend this in a little bit more with your stars while they're there, so we can kind of work on this as well. And see, we're not affecting the stars. We're just working on that background layer. And if the stars get in your way, you can always go up here and click the little button and turn them off. And you can just kind of start messing around on everything. Got a reset button right there. So turn our stars back on. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Now, if you want to do like global adjustments, you can do those too. So all you have to do is just not have any layers selected. Come down here and we can do a levels, and we want to close that, and we want to make sure and drag it all the way up here above the stars. And now when we do this level of adjustment, it's going to basically apply everything to the entire image. So we can brighten up the entire image along with the stars and nebula and everything else. Sometimes in the end, this is going to be your savior that you might want to do. For example, I was kind of like freaking out. I thought it had too much blue in it. So again, we can try doing this here with levels by getting rid of the blue, and we can raise that black point up on the blue. But again, it's going to go to green real quick. So there's not a lot of wiggle room, maybe just a couple percent. Yep, that looks good to me. So that's pretty much the image right there, guys. At this point, you can see what you got. If you're very, very happy with it, you can just go up to File, and you can go to Save As. And then, of course, right here, you can save it as anything you want. You can save it as a TIFF file. You can save it as a JPEG, so that way you can share it to Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And that's it. Definitely a long video, guys. A lot of information in there. Feel free to skip around again with those chapter markers to come back and reference things. And of course, leave any comments if you have any questions. Channel memberships below. If you think I did a great job on this, you can also use the super chat or super thanks button as well. So appreciate all of you guys and any support that you throw to this channel, whether it be a like, comment, or a subscription. Talk to you guys later. Love you all. Peace.